Hi, this is Hector Mestre. Today I want to share some essential recording gear if you are building up a recording studio and you know that this is a career you want to follow, or if you are just here to gain some knowledge. Our focus in this video is to help you choose the right gear to start your recording studio. Keeping in mind that in the future you would add more gear, not replace. We are thinking of your pocket, so stay tuned. First, we're going to start with the heart of the recording studio, which is the computer. There is two types of computer, Apple and Windows computer. What makes them different is the operating system. And something that you need to keep in mind, there's some software that are for recording that you can use in the Apple computer that you cannot use in Windows, and there's some softwares that you can use in Windows computers that you cannot use in Apple. For example, Logic is one of those softwares that you cannot use in Windows. It's only made for Apple computers. Whether you choose Apple or Windows computers, both computers can be very efficient. It depends on the RAM that you have, processing power, and the space of hard drive that you have. My choice has always been Apple. I am legally blind, and it has a couple of softwares that I use that are Zoom and VoiceOver. Zoom enlarges the screen, and VoiceOver reads what I hover around with the mouse. My recommendation to you is to get familiar with the computer you want to use and their software. I receive a lot of questions about what type of interface to use. And I always tell people that it all depends on what kind of studio you want to build on. There is interfaces that are 8 channels for preamps. There is interfaces that are 8 channels, 8 preamps. There is also interfaces that are 2 channels but 1 preamp. It all depends on what type of interface you want to use. There's also interfaces that have ADAT input or SPDIF inputs. Those are 2 different types of digital connections, and they're also used to expand your studio even more. That's something to keep into consideration when you want to keep building a recording studio later on in the future. I myself used a set of Apollo, and I have separate a 8-channel ADAT connection that I can use 8 more channels connected to that. On the bottom, I have a API preamp that is connected to my interface via SPDIF. That automatically adds about 26 channels immediately to my system when I want to record all at the same time. Always keep in mind, if you're going to be recording live drums and other type of live musicians, depends on the type of inputs, and the amount of inputs is the amount of musicians or instrumentation that you can record at the same time. Another thing to take into consideration is that some preamps have the ability to run plugins from inside their system, just like my Apollos. Each of them have a processor, and their plugins are called UAD. That gives you the ability to relieve your computer from any heavy load of plugins or software issues throughout the recording. So let's say if you are running a compressor, or you're running some EQs, it directly runs off your interface, not your computer. So that gives some sort of relief to your computer, so it can act more efficient. Not all the interfaces have that. There's a couple of companies that do have it, and I always chose Universal Audio, knowing that I'm going to be building in the future and not replacing. Depending on the computer you choose is the connection that you would need. There is C3, Firewire, Ethernet, and USB. Some of those are faster than others, just like the USB is a little slower than C3 connection, and C3 is also faster than Firewire. Ethernet is a different type of speed. They're all different. All depends on what it is that you need and the need of your computer. What do I mean about your computer's need? Well, there's some computers that are C3 connections. You don't want to buy a dongle that has a converter for USB. It's going to make that connection much slower. To be efficient, it's always better to buy an interface that is C3 or Thunderbolt, something that is much quicker towards that computer. Moving on, we have the monitors. I have 3 sets of monitors right here. I have a 5-inch Yamaha, I have 8-inch JBL, and a 3-way Dan Audio monitors. You always have to keep into consideration that the monitors that you choose are the ones that are going to translate what you are hearing. What does that mean? That when you sit down to mix, you have to get the most accurate mix possible, because people are going to be listening to this music that you just finished making in the car, in a club, at a church, in different type of places. So you need the best translation. The Yamaha monitors are 5-inch speakers. That means that they don't have a lot of low end. They are more mid-range focused and they're not so bright. We have the JBL. The JBLs are 8-inch and it has a tweeter, but the low end is not too deep. So that gets me more that mid-range towards the low frequencies, but not too low. It kicks enough to feel good, and they're not also bright. But if we talk about the Dan Audio, these monitors are 3-way monitors. That means that there's 3 speakers in one box. There's tweeter, mid-range, and low. These speakers itself are very bright and very bassy. The low end is it goes at least into, I think if I'm correct, to 28 hertz deep. That has a lot of bass. They're very bright, and the mid-range is very focused. It gives you a nice 3D sound, very wide. And these 3 speakers, they are efficient for me, because if I'm listening to a mix, I know what it would sound in a set of bright speakers that are 3-way, and what they would sound in an 8-inch 2-way monitor or a 5-inch. These 3 speakers, they sound totally different, and they translate what I have in my head and through my ears for my mixings. Now, to start a recording studio, my recommendation for monitors are JBL. They are very efficient. These ones are a little different because this one have room control, but the regular speakers are pretty efficient. And also, just like the Yamaha HS, any of them, either the 5, the 8-inch, whatever you choose, they are very, very, very efficient. All depends. If you want to hear more low end, then you'll go with a 8-inch. Or if you are okay, I know some people that have made some 5-inch monitor Yamahas, and their mixes sounds incredible. All depends for what you are looking for, what's in your budget, and knowing that in the future you're gonna be building, not replacing monitors. I have here a Warm Audio WA47. Is a large diaphragm condenser microphone. It has a feature that is called multi-pattern. That means that you can switch the patterns. If I put it to the right, it gives me omnidirectional. That means it picks up all around the microphone. If I put it in the same center, that's Cardioid. That only picks up from the front. Or if I put a figure 8, that picks only from the front, the back, not the sides. This is a great microphone to start with because they're great for vocals, recording guitars, or any sorts of instrument. Large diaphragms are known for their detailed sound, all the way from low end to highs, mids. It depends on the focus of the microphone. The microphone also has pads. I can put it in a guitar amp, turn on the pad, and I can turn up the amplifier, knowing that I'm not gonna blow up the microphone capsule. Also, it has to roll off the low end. That means that if there's a lot of rumble sound around the microphone, I can kind of take that out, activating the high pass filter. The shock mount, this is where you sit the microphone inside. And the work that it does is that if there's any type of vibration on the floor or any step that vibrates the stand, the shock wave will not hit the microphone, it would die here on the rubber bands. This gives you the ability that the microphone moves, right? Inside there, the rubber band kills either the low end or whatever vibration is about to hit the microphone without disturbing your recording. Here to my right, I have a Shure Sn57, a recording studio standard, even for live. And then to my left, I have a Audix i5. These two microphones are great, very known in the recording industry, also for live. This microphone, which is the Shure Sn57, is a microphone that is known throughout the years for recording hits after hits. Maybe 80 to 90% of the recording you've heard guitars, electric guitars, it has been recorded with this Shure Sn57. Now I have here an Audix that provides the same type of quality. The difference is that the capsule on this microphone is a little bigger than the Shure, and that gives me more low end, and also the frequencies are a little higher. So I think that the spectrum of the microphone is a little wider than the Shure. Now the Shure is mid-range focus. That means it's great to be used on guitar, amps, snare drum, and even inside the kick for the beater attack. These two microphones are great. A lot of the times I prefer this one, knowing that the capsule is bigger, which is the i5 from Audix, than the Shure Sn57, but it depends on what I'm looking for. These two microphones are very budget friendly. I would say that all the studios should have a set of this. They're very standard. They're about $99.99 US dollars. Let's just round that up to $100. They're great. These are efficient. They can fall on the floor, and you know that they won't break at all. Pencil condenser microphones are great for recording acoustic guitars, hi-hats, overhead, string section. They're very known for their precise sound capture. Their transient is really quick. They are not the greatest at picking up low end. These microphones are great also for recording pianos, acoustic baby grand pianos. They also have a feature where you take this capsule off and you can put an omnidirectional capsule, and it would pick up around and also on the front. It is very small. It uses the same type of power that you would use in the big large diaphragm microphone. In the description box, I'm gonna be adding all the links to all the gear that I've been talking about, including this Rode NT5 microphone. Another essential piece of equipment you should have in your recording studio is the pop filter. The pop filter helps you with certain letters like P and B's and sometimes S's. What it does, it controls when you pronounce the letter P, it makes some sort of type of air that you don't want to push into the microphone, and this controls the volume and the air that goes into the microphone. Now, if you take it off, you can directly say P to the microphone, and later on, little by little, you can harm your microphone. This is a great piece of equipment to have in your studio. And now, lastly, we're gonna be talking about cables. Cables, there's many different type of cables, different name brands, and all different cable companies provide different type of warranty. This is a Mogami cable. They are very known for top quality and their service. They have a unlimited warranty. That means that if a cable breaks, they'll send you a brand new one, no questions asked. There's also a couple of companies just like them, like Proco and LifeWire. Their cable break, no questions asked, they'll send you a brand new one. There's a choice of different other companies like Hosa that they don't have the same type of service. You would spend a little more on a Mogami cable or a Proco or a LifeWire studio cable, but eventually at the end it's gonna be worth it and more efficient for your recording studio. It breaks, they'll send you a brand new one. That's the best thing that you can have with this type of cables. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, write them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit like, share, and turn on your notifications. See you next time.